Pick up those crumbs, Leo. You don't deserve a real cake anyway, my sister Brenda sneered, dumping the tray onto my son's new shoes. My son cried. She smiled. Now, my name is Cassidy, and I am 34 years old. I work as a freelance graphic designer from my kitchen. I spend my nights working hard to give my son, Leo, everything he needs. In my family, I was always the quiet one. I was the extra person in the room. My sister Brenda was the one they always praised. She had the corporate job and the expensive cars. My parents thought she was perfect. They did not see how she stepped on people to get ahead. I was not rich or glamorous like her. Brenda made sure to remind me of that every single time we met. She thought I was weak because I stayed silent. She did not know that I have a memory like a vault. I have a habit of protecting what belongs to me. I played the role of the poor sister for a long time. I just wanted to keep the peace. Seeing my son cry on his 8th birthday changed everything. The peace is over. I am ready to fight for him now. If your family made you feel like you were not enough, subscribe to this community. Drop your story below because you are not alone. I have been where you are right now. I want to hear how you found your own strength. Let us go and prove them wrong together. This party was a big deal for us. I saved money for a year to rent a bounce house. I bought Leo the high-end gaming console he wanted. Brenda showed up 2 hours late. She smelled like expensive perfume and complained about the heat. She said the decorations looked cheap. She spent 30 minutes talking about her stressful week at the office. Nobody else could speak. Then came the gifts. Leo was so excited to open his big box. Brenda walked over with a full glass of red punch. She tripped right next to the table. The dark liquid poured directly into the new console. It was ruined. "Oh my God, I'm so clumsy," she said with a smirk. She did not look sorry at all. She told me that Leo didn't need distractions anyway. She said he was already behind in school. Leo started to cry. Brenda didn't apologize to him. She stood up and looked at everyone. My parents were watching her. She announced that her $5,000 designer watch was missing. She pointed her finger at my son. "I saw him hovering near my purse," she shouted. She called Leo a thief. She told everyone that I was raising a criminal. She said she would call the police if I didn't search his room right then. The humiliation was heavy. Our parents looked at Leo with pure disgust. The other parents at the party started to whisper and pull their kids away. My son was shaking with fear. He looked at me for help. Brenda just stood there looking like a victim. She wanted to destroy his reputation in front of everyone we knew. I felt a cold heat rising in my chest. I knew she was lying. I knew she had a plan to hurt us. But she didn't realize that I had a plan too. I just needed to wait for the right moment to show everyone who the real criminal was in this family. 3 days later, my parents called a family meeting at their house. The air inside smelled like stale coffee and disappointment. They made Leo sit in the hallway alone. I had to sit in the living room. They told me I was a failure of a mother. They said I was raising a thief who would end up in jail. Brenda sat on the sofa. She was sipping tea and looking triumphant. She didn't say a word to me, she just smiled behind her cup. This was the first betrayal. My own parents chose her lies over my son. Then came the second betrayal. Brenda went on social media. She has thousands of followers. Many of our mutual friends follow her too. She posted about the heartbreak of having a dishonest nephew. She wrote that poverty leads to poor morals. It was a direct hit on my reputation. It was a hit on Leo's future. People I had known for years started to send me mean messages. They told me to keep my son away from their children. My heart broke for Leo. He didn't understand why his friends stopped calling him. He asked me if he was a bad person. I told him he was perfect. But the betrayals didn't stop there. Brenda convinced our parents to change their legal documents. We had a shared emergency property deed for the family house. Brenda told them I would probably steal the equity to pay for Leo's mistakes. She said I was a risk to their finances. My parents listened to her. They removed my name from the deed. I was officially being erased from the family history. Throughout all of this, I stayed quiet. I didn't scream. I didn't fight back in the moment. I just nodded my head and took notes in a small book. Brenda mocked me for it. She called me pathetic. She said I couldn't even defend my own child. I watched Leo struggle at school. The thief rumors had reached the other parents. He sat alone at lunch. I felt the weight of his sadness every single day. My heart was breaking into pieces, but my resolve was hardening like stone. I was documenting every single thing they did to us. I was waiting for the right time to strike. Brenda thought she had won. She thought she had buried me. She didn't know that I was just getting started. I had information that would change everything. What they didn't know was that I had spent the last year upgrading my home. My graphic design business requires very expensive equipment. I have cameras everywhere to protect my work. I didn't just have a simple doorbell camera. I had high-definition 4,000 cameras hidden in the walls. I had nanny cams in the living room. I had 360-degree outdoor CCTV. These cameras have high-gain microphones too. They can hear a whisper from across the yard. Brenda thought she was being very clever at the party. She thought she was in a blind spot. She didn't realize that I have been archiving her behavior for months. I had recordings of her talking about her debts. I had footage of her bullying me when no one was looking. I had every single frame of video from the day of the party. I had a plan they never saw coming. It involved the truth that was saved on my hard drive. I knew exactly where that watch was. I knew exactly what happened to the cake. I spent hours reviewing the footage. I zoomed in on her hands. I listened to the audio over and over. I was building a digital wall around her. She was walking right into a trap that she built herself. She was about to find out that the quiet sister was the most dangerous one of all. I knew I couldn't do this alone. I reached out to Mr. Henderson. He is an old family lawyer. He was a very close friend of my grandfather. He always hated how Brenda treated me. He saw through her fake smiles years ago. I met him at his office. The room smelled like old paper and expensive leather. I showed him the footage. Mr. Henderson looked at the screen and shook his head. He told me something shocking. Brenda had been borrowing money from our parents' retirement accounts. She was in a lot of debt. She was desperate to hide her own financial ruin from everyone. She needed a distraction. She needed someone else to be the villain. That is why she targeted Leo. The tension peaked a week later. Brenda officially filed a police report against my 8-year-old son. She thought she could use the theft to explain why she was missing money. She thought she could blame her missing funds on the stress of the situation. She called a final meeting at the lawyer's office. She said it was time to settle the matter once and for all. She demanded that I pay her $5,000 for the watch. She also wanted money for the emotional distress she had suffered. She arrived at the office in a sharp power suit. She acted like she had already won a gold medal. My parents were there too. They were flanked on both sides of her. They looked at me like I was dirt on the bottom of their shoes. They didn't even say hello to me. They just waited for me to hand over the money. The room was silent and cold. I could hear the clock on the wall ticking. I sat down and placed my laptop on the table. It was time to end this. The confrontation happened in the formal conference room of Mr. Henderson. The table was long and polished. Brenda slammed a police case number on the wood. She told me to just admit that Leo took the watch. She said I should pay the $5,000 now. She promised she wouldn't press charges against a child if I paid up. I didn't say a single word to her. I didn't even look at her. I just opened my laptop. I turned the screen toward her. I also turned it toward the police officer I had invited to the meeting. Brenda looked confused for a second. Then the video started to play. It was crystal clear 4,000 footage. It showed the hallway during the party. Brenda was standing there alone. She looked around to make sure no one was watching. Then she took her own watch off her wrist. She tucked it into the side pocket of Leo's backpack. My son was outside playing in the bounce house at the time. Then the audio kicked in. The camera in the kitchen had caught her whispering to herself. The speakers filled the room with her voice. She said that this would keep the little brat quiet. She said Mom and Dad would never check her accounts if they were too busy dealing with the thief. The room went ice cold. My parents gasped. Brenda's face turned a ghostly white color. She started to shake. The police officer stood up from his chair. "Wait, there is more," I said. I played the next clip. It showed her dumping the cake on Leo's shoes. It showed her laughing about how she replaced his new console with a broken one from the internet. She had planned the whole thing. The favorite child was caught in a web of her own lies. She was caught in fraud and child endangerment. My parents looked at her with horror. They realized they had been played. Brenda tried to speak, but no words came out. She just stared at the screen. Her career and her reputation were disappearing in seconds. I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I looked at the police officer. I told him I wanted to file a report for everything she had done to my son. I am done with her. The police officer didn't leave with my son. He walked out of the room with Brenda in handcuffs. She was charged with filing a false police report and petty theft for the console switch. Mr. Henderson began the process of auditing the family accounts immediately. He found out exactly how much she had stolen from my parents. Brenda was legally forced to pay back every single cent. My parents tried to apologize to me. They cried and said they didn't know the truth. They begged to see Leo. I walked away from them. I told them that if they could believe an 8-year-old was a thief without any proof, they didn't deserve to be in his life. I used the money from the civil suit to move us away. We have a beautiful new house in a great school district now. Leo is happy and has many friends who trust him. Looking back, I realized that some people use their voices to lie. I used my silence to find the truth. We are finally free from them. If you have been publicly embarrassed or falsely accused by the people who should protect you, I want to hear your story. It is a pain that cuts deep, but you are not alone. Subscribe and share your journey in the comments. Your voice deserves to be heard and believed. Click hype to help this story reach others who need to know the truth eventually comes out for everyone. Standing up for yourself is tough. If you have been there, subscribe and become part of our community. Let me know this story helped by clicking hype. And tell me where you are watching from. I love seeing how far these stories travel. Every bit of support helps us build a community where the truth matters. Thank you for being here and for listening to my journey today.